Hey guys, I'm here with another Top 5 Wednesday video. For those of you who don't know, it's a group on Goodreads where every Wednesday there's a new prompt, book-related prompt, for a top 5 list, and this week's is going to be the top 5 fandoms that you're no longer in. And I usually read contemporary, so I kind of stretched the definition of fandom a bit because it's usually used for fantasy-related book series, and I have read some of those, and I do have some of those on my list, but I also included some just general contemporary authors. So yeah, this is my top 5 list. I also don't really have visual aids for most of these, which I mean any of them except for like one, because since I'm no longer in the fandom, I don't really care so much, so I'm just going to be sitting here talking without props. Sorry. The first one is kind of the big one that might annoy some people, I don't know. It's The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. I believe I read the first 3 back when it was originally just going to be a trilogy, because it was originally just supposed to be the 3 books, and then they kind of got extended and kept going, and then there were spin-off series, and I read them when they first came out, so I was like 12 or 13, I think. Like, I'm fairly certain it was middle school when I read the first one, and then high school when I read the next 2, and I don't really remember City of Glass at all. But I just got bored. I don't know, like, I really enjoyed the first one, and I really liked the second one, and then the third one came out, and I don't know if it was just that years had gone by, kind of, or I don't know if it was years, it was at least 1 year, or I'd just grown up more or something, but I didn't get into the third one, and then I didn't read the rest in that series, and I think I started to read A Clockwork Princess, or whatever it's called, and I didn't finish that book, and returned it to the library, and just it wasn't my thing, I guess. I did like them initially. It just, as it went on, I think I would have enjoyed it as a closed, nice, small trilogy that I could read and finish and then just sort of let go away. The second one is going to be The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. And that would be Aragon and Eldest and whatever the others are. I read the first 2, I think, when I was in 5th or 6th grade. I read Aragon, and then I read Eldest, and then that was originally supposed to be a trilogy as well, and then it added a 4th, and I was less into fantasy, and I just decided to pass and sort of forgot about the whole thing. And I saw the movie, which was not good. That was a terrible movie. I didn't even like Aragon that much, and that was a terrible movie. Well, I liked it when I read it. It just, again, as with City of Bones, they kept adding more, and it was just supposed to be a set, small amount of books, and then they were very, very long and very, very involved, and not super my thing after a while. I just got bored, and like, some books I can wait for and be excited about, like Harry Potter, but other books, when I wait, I just get bored of them and kind of fall out of the fandom and stop caring and don't finish the series. And like, I don't think I'll ever finish it or reread Aragon or any of that, just because there's so much better fantasy out there, like Lord of the Rings, that I could read instead that basically does the same thing, just better. The third one is going to be The Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer. And for this one, I'm kind of stretching how much I was in the fandom, but these books started coming out, I think, when I was in middle school, or they might not have started coming out then, but they were really popular when I was in middle school, which was when I started reading them, so I was like 12, 13. And I liked the first 3, okay? I didn't like the 4th one at all. And I don't know, I was like 12, 13, and they were just sort of kind of par for the course of what YA romance with vampires was. Like, they weren't really good, but I enjoyed them, and my friends liked them, and we sort of talked about them, and I was excited for the first movie. And then, I don't know, Twilight went from being super hyped to being super hated, and I just sort of like stopped caring so much. And I still don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is, but I really, really, really disliked the fourth one, and I didn't watch the rest of the movies, and I'm not ever gonna reread the books. Like, I don't think it was good by any means, I just don't think it was as bad, so that would be my number 3. And I'm not ashamed to say I used to like Twilight. I still kind of do a little bit. I don't know, it was fun. My last 2 are gonna be contemporary, and they're just gonna be authors who write many books, and I kind of consider that a fandom. I kind of have to, because I couldn't think of any other fantasy series that I've read and like am not super into anymore. Like, I don't know if you can see, I've talked about my Tamora Pierce shelf that takes up like that whole thing up there. Like, I still love her, I still love Harry Potter, I still love the books of Pelennor, which are over here. Clearly, since I have like 5 books for the 4 series. But my 4th one is gonna be Ellen Hopkins. I used to love, she writes Impulse, Perfect, Crank, I forget the others, Tricks, like they're lyric novels. Novels in verse, that's what it's called. Novels in verse. I'm thinking of lyric essays. She writes novels in verse that are contemporary young adult for the most part, although I think she has a couple of adult novels by now. And I used to adore her when I was in middle school and high school. And I read Perfect when it came out, and I absolutely hated Perfect. Like, I gave it 1 star. It made me so angry and like physically sick to my stomach. And one of the characters was raped, and there was a lot of victim blaming going on. Like, not the characters around her were victim blaming, but like the story and the context itself was victim blaming, and it's upsetting me to talk about, so I'm moving on. But I really, really hated that, and that just kind of turned me off Ellen Hopkins completely, and I'm not into her at all anymore. And I used to have a couple of her books on my shelf, and I gave them to my friend just because I didn't feel like having them up there anymore. And the last one is the Jodi Picoult. I have behind me like all of her books. They go from like here to here. But I don't know. I read My Sister's Keeper when I was in 7th grade, I think. I got it at like a Scholastic book fair. And I still have it. It's here. I guess I could have a prop for this one. My Sister's Keeper. I've had this book since like 7th or 8th grade, and it's in really good condition for a paperback. I'm impressed with young me. It's in better condition than most of my other books. But I adored Jodi Picoult, and I read like all of her books. I think I have read all of them actually, and if you know how many books she's written, that's kind of insane. And if I haven't read them all, I'm just missing like 1 or 2 of the recent ones or something. But I used to love her so much, and now I read the last couple of her new books, and like I just like them less and less, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading them. Like, there are a couple of her old ones I still really like. This book is still really good, and I'm still probably going to reread this at some point and never watch the movie because that's horrific. But I don't know, as a whole, I used to be really into her, and now I'm not, and I'm considering that a fandom, even though it's probably not. But oh well. Let me know what you think, and if I should give any of these fandoms another shot. I may or may not ever read any of them again, except for like Jodi Picoult, obviously I will. But I don't know, if you disagree with any of the problems I have with them, feel free to let me know and like try to convince me to read them. Because I feel like half of it is like getting excited for the books, and if you get excited for them, then you have a reason to read them, and it's pretty easy to go through. And let me know down below which fandoms you used to be super into that you're not so much anymore. And as always, the link to the Goodreads group is going to be down below in the description, so check that out and feel free to join in because Top 5 Wednesday is super fun. Bye y'all!